Hey guys, Ponce here on the PBE, here to share with you guys some conclusions I've drawn in regards to the Urgot Rework. So I've been playing him for a couple weeks now, so I have some fairly concrete opinions on him at this point. So sort of to jump to the end here, my final conclusion, and I'll sort of explain myself thereafter. I actually do like the rework. I like what they've done with the character. I think it's fun. His kit is cohesive, and insofar as kind of unique playstyles within the context of League of Legends, and how much Riot's willing to deviate from their general mold. I think this is about as far as it's probably going to go. Urgot's got some neat stuff going on here with his shotgun legs and whatnot. He has some problems, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, his kit is interesting. I sort of enjoy playing him. And it's just basically the character makes sense now. He's not the weird clusterfuck that he was before that would just stuff all over the place. I personally called him an AD caster, but everyone seemed to have different names for him. Some people like to take him bottom for some weird reason. Some people like to take him top. I personally took him mid before. But anyway, now he's rather definitively a top laner with the ability to go jungle. Now, of course, you could theoretically go mid, just because anything that goes top could theoretically go mid. But yeah, just top seems to be his shtick. And there's also the jungle, which we'll talk about in a bit. But if you want to just play him normally, tops definitely seems to be his thing. Now, in terms of build, I don't feel there's like a massive amount of variety to him. He's general, essentially Juggernaut fare. Compared to your average Juggernaut, I feel like he has to actually build a little bit more offensively than the other ones. Otherwise, he just doesn't seem to do too much. I've done it a few times where I've gone just Black Cleaver and the rest full tank, but I didn't like the results so much. But it's a bit hard to tell those sorts of things on the PBE, just because PBE games are all so one-sided, and they're actually, as I mentioned in the past, a very bad place to test actual balance. So your mileage may end up varying, at different needle brackets, or, when the game's just slightly more even and whatnot. But generally speaking, I've kind of liked a very less traditional Juggernaut build and more kind of an older Bruiser style build that includes at least a Black Cleaver at a minimum. Black Cleaver, I would say, is like the only non-negotiable core on the item. Like, it almost seems like old Urgot, but Black Cleaver is just phenomenal on the character. And then from there, I like a lot of, it's actually interesting. I like Frozen Mallet on very few characters, so if I build Frozen Mallet on a character, it probably means it's actually quite good on the character. Riot's even said, Frozen Mallet is intentionally not very cost-effective because if it's too good, it's like an oppressive sort of item. So it just seems to work quite well with him. And then from there, you have a variety of options. Death Stance seems to sort of work. I like it. Other people might not so much. I tend to like, having a slightly more offensive build than average, I think. Steric's Gate seems to work. Some people swear by Trinity Force. Not so much for me. It's not the worst item you can build on him. I've also seen some people talk about what's that item's called? What's that item called? It's I haven't slept, so I'm forgetting like item names. Memory's not so good right now. Blade of the Rune King. Blade of the Rune King is I never actually ended up trying doing that, so I don't want to speak on it too definitively, but it didn't seem like a particularly good thing to me. I'm not sure where you would fit it into the build either. If you're building Black Cleaver first, perhaps second. The problem is the attack speed is totally wasted on the W, because W just sets your attack speed to 3.0. It actually overcaps you, and it's not affected. And, the on-hit effecting is nice, but of course you have to keep in mind that every single hit with the W is, if it's a damage on-hit effect, is reduced down to 1/3. So, and then, so basically those are sort of the general offensive items. These recommended items here, generally speaking, are not too bad. I don't know if I ever ended up building a mob, but and then there's like a couple slots for situational tanky. So what I typically end up doing is like 2 to 3 offensive Juggernaut style bruisery kind of items, and then the rest is just situational tanky. What kind of tank item do I want per game? Any kind of build that includes like, you must build this tank item, usually, barring specific niche cases, isn't particularly good advice. So, look at the context of the game and build your tanky items accordingly. Although, keep in mind, Urgot does scale very nicely with HP because of the shield from his W. Especially if you're getting cooldown reduction, which you probably should. Okay, yeah, let's talk about cooldown reduction. I keep jumping around, I realize. But cooldown reduction is very important on Urgot. I would say it's not quite as important as it was on old Urgot, but that's simply because cooldown reduction was non-negotiable on Urgot. It was just like the stat for him almost. Worked fantastically with it. Now it's just very good on him. So, you know, for whatever reason you can't manage it, okay. I mean, you're getting 20% from Black Cleaver anyway, but it's nice, just not, you know, you're going to spontaneously combust and the game will uninstall itself if you don't get it, kind of thing. All right, so aside from that, so yeah, that's just general build talk. In terms of jungle versus top, this actually gets into my one major issue with Urgot, the one thing I absolutely hate about him. And those of you who've been on my stream have probably heard this, even if you're there briefly, because I was always complaining about it. It was such a piss off to play with. Instead of dragging this on, I can tell you what it is now. It's his auto attack animation. It is terrible. He has, for a modern rework style champion, it almost reminds me of old League of Legends, where there's just this weird, unnecessary delay on the auto attack, and it feels very unresponsive. And it just, like, maybe it bothers me more than your average person. I don't know. This is the kind of your mileage may vary sort of thing with him. But it almost feels like it ruins the entire, all this effort and creativity that's gone into the rework. They ruin it with something as simple as a shitty auto attack animation. And that, like, kind of annoys me. Because I think this is the kind of character I might have played on and off, you know, in lane. Now, I don't even know if I'm going to do that. I'll show you guys what I mean. Like, he's got this weird arming animation where it's like the arm just kind of like moves down, then opens up, and then shoots, and it's just, it's really frustrating. So yeah, basically and it becomes, obviously as the game goes on, it matters less and less, because it's usually kind of when you're trying to CS that shitty auto attack animations are the most irritating, because, you know, you end up canceling prematurely and all, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's basically the first 10 minutes of any game in the early laning phase. It's annoying. To bypass that, I actually enjoy playing him in the jungle more, even though he's not quite as suited to it. He's not terrible at it. He's actually kind of okay at it. But, no, that's my kind of opinion on that sort of thing. In terms of how well he does the jungle, more specifically, he has an absolutely terrible first clear. It's very weird. He actually does the jungle quite well and stays healthy, and it feels like he's doing well, but then you look at the time and realize, oh my god, this is so slow. Which is very weird, because normally, like, it's kind of like junglers are going to be shitty and slow, or they're going to be good and fast, or like really fast but get low kind of thing. Urgot's like this weird, he does it very consistently, safely, but he's just very slow at it. And of course, you know, all subsequent clears, that doesn't matter. Anyone can jungle sufficiently after the first clear. But just keep that in mind if you're going to do it that way. He's got okay ganks and whatnot, but let's finish his little spiel there. Now, in terms of how the character functions overall, I said basically he's kind of, well, he is a Juggernaut. Again, it comes back to the auto attack. It kind of feels like the fact that he has a ranged auto attack is almost wasted and unnecessary. Like, when he does damage, it's all up close. Like, he gets on top of people and starts really kind of beating them down. So it's just kind of weird. I guess it's a thematic thing that he has a range attack, and maybe makes things a bit easier to get his shotgun leg passives off and stuff like that, but it does help you harass a bit in lane. Obviously, like, some range is better than no range, but don't expect to be like an AD carry or anything like that. Like, you're basically walking up to things and shooting them. All right. Now, in terms of his general role, like I said, he's a Juggernaut. You feel like he's got to be slightly more offensive than your average Juggernaut, like compared to like Darius or something, who can just build one damage item and murder everyone, sort of thing. But you know, the rest tank. But generally speaking, yeah, if he gets on top of someone or a group of people, unless he gets taken down, which can be difficult given how tanky he can get, yeah, he'll just start shredding through people. The damage he actually kicks out is quite scary, both in a dueling context and a team fighting sort of thing. Now, his weakness, obviously, like basically all the other Juggernauts, is the enemy chooses not to fight you. They just back off, they kite you, they say, no, you're a Juggernaut, screw you, I'm going to walk away. Now, fortunately, solo queue doesn't tend to be that smart that often, so you can get away with just walking up to people and they'll just kind of like, I'm going to challenge you in a punching contest, and they'll just like, they'll sit there and trade with you like an idiot, and you sort of get away with that kind of stuff for free a lot. But, you know, every once in a while you're going to run into, you know, one person every 1,000 games or something who realizes, oh, he's a Juggernaut, let's just kite him, sort of thing. So do keep that in mind. In terms of summoner spells, I really tried to like Ghost. I really did. I wanted to work it with... I tried it for a long time to try to get it to work, even though I knew probably wasn't as good as Flash. And it's just unfortunate in terms of what they did to Ghost. I don't like the nerf they did to it a while ago, and the whole startup time thing and everything. It's just... Flash is too good. You know, you can just flash and then E onto people. Also, I should probably show you something. This is a kind of a like a tips and tricks style thing. There'll be a more in-depth video probably in the future with this kind of thing. But I would say the one kind of neat mechanic he has that isn't super obvious, because most of the things Urgot does is pretty obvious, is this thing here. You start the animation, flash, and then dash. Now, if you start the animation on the flash, and then you're already in it, you can't flash. You have to like wait until the end, at which point you're already done, and that's pointless. So when he's doing that wind-up animation you see right there, see what he's doing? Like that wind-up, when he's standing still. When he's winding up, flash, and then you'll, well, go into, don't do it like that, but, because he'll still go in the direction you've targeted in, but he'll just then flash. So if I target actually backwards and then flash this way, I can go back into place. But yeah, typically the way you're going to be using it is going to be like 3, and then suddenly you're on top of the person. You can either use that to surprise the person when you're already in range, like you're basically suddenly on top of them and you toss them. It's quite effective to use that way. Or you can do it for extra range if you know, feel like the person is not going to be able to react to what you're going to do in time, like they're not expecting it kind of thing. Most people are not going to expect that. They're pretty slow in terms of reaction times. But yeah, if you ever run into anyone confident that's got some decent reaction times, don't expect that to land every time. But it is a nice little gimmick. His ult's pretty neat. There are several ways of using it. You can either use it as... basically, I don't have a bot or anyone, or like no one to help me here. I'm a lonely person. But imagine there's like, I don't know, an enemy champion right here or something. You can, and then he's full HP. You can either use it to start when he's at full HP or has high HP, and then just hope over the course of the fight that you're going to deal enough damage that you can finally execute him right at the end before it wears off. Which is fairly likely given how much damage Urgot can kick out. You can also use it as just a straight up execute. You get them low first and then shoot them either while they're standing near you or while they're running away. Of course, you know, if they're running away, I wouldn't rely on it because people could always just flash or dash and get out of the way and stuff like that. So that's a slightly more risky way of using it. And then of course there's also, because it has decent range, you can always use it as just a general catch just to slow people. Because what's the slow on it? Like, it's quite high. It falls below 20%. That's interesting. It doesn't actually say. Maybe I'm blind, but I don't see the... Anyway, it's got a very big slow on it. So you can... if someone's running away, you can just... If you can tag them with that, slow them down just long enough to get into range to do this, or slow them down further with that, that's also an effective use of it. Those are the 3 primary ways. There's probably a few others, but that's what you're mainly going to end up doing. Okay, so yeah, overall, that's kind of really all I have to say. I may have missed a few things in terms of my opinions and whatnot. The video's dragged on a bit, but... if you have any further questions, like in regards to anything, feel free to ask. There's a bunch of weird alt interactions I don't really want to talk about. But, yeah, like I said, overall I like what they did. It's really unfortunate they gave him a shitty auto attack animation. And unfortunately, as a result, I like playing him in the jungle better. But as a top lane champion, he can be quite effective. Like, basically... he plays like a Juggernaut. Is that overpowered? Is it not overpowered? He's a Juggernaut. If you feel Juggernaut's overpowered, you're probably going to find reason to find this character overpowered. If you don't really think so, and, you know, kite Juggernauts for breakfast all day... Breakfast all... Anyway, if you just like, if you know to kite Juggernauts around and know how to exploit their sorts of disadvantages, then, yeah, there's counterplay to him. But yeah, he certainly kicks out quite a bit of damage for being very tanky. Don't confuse that at all. He's got some very scary stats if you just stand in front of him. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm off to probably go stream. You have to catch this video right as I'm done uploading it. The usual haunt, twitch.tv/Ponce. Have fun, guys. Look forward to seeing you around. Bye.